The story here is, hands down, one of the most creative narratives ever put into a racing game. You play as Detective John Tanner, who drives a slick 70s Dodge Challenger. Tanner and his partner Tobias Jones are in San Francisco to oversee the prison transport of their ultimate nemesis, Charles Jericho. Jericho is this crime lord, a ruthless guy who has a history of slipping through the fingers of the law. Sure enough, the transport goes horribly wrong. Jericho escapes, leading to a massive pursuit through the streets. And during this chase, he ruthlessly rams Tanner's Challenger into the path of an oncoming tractor trailer. The crash is absolutely devastating, and this is where the game pulls its ultimate trick. Tanner falls into a deep coma, and the entire rest of the game takes place entirely inside his comatose mind.
Man, I got no idea how we lived through that.
Saw where he went.
What? Hey, come on, man, we gotta get you to a hospital.
Jericho's got a head start.
And this coma premise isn't some cheap plot device. It's actually the entire foundation of the game's structure. Tanner doesn't realize he's dreaming at first. He wakes up behind the wheel, thinking he miraculously survived the crash. But because he's trapped in his own subconscious, he suddenly discovers he has some kind of superpower. He can now project his consciousness out of his body and instantly take over the mind of any other driver on the road. Pretty wild, right? You're basically playing as a ghost possessing innocent commuters to solve crimes. And this narrative framing completely eliminates any ludonarrative dissonance. You know how in most open-world games, the map has artificial boundaries, and if you try to cross a bridge to a locked area, the game just throws an invisible wall at you? But here the game tries to acknowledge it. Like when Tanner tries to cross the Golden Gate Bridge early on, a psychological barrier stops him, and he admits that something inside his own mind is preventing him from moving forward. It makes the artificiality of video game design a literal plot point about his fracturing psyche.
You're not pregnant again, are you?
Honestly, this thing I got going on, it makes about as much sense.
Another thing that makes the story phenomenal is the writing. To be honest, I was kinda shocked to learn that this game contains roughly 270,000 words of dialogue. That's literally more dialogue than Mass Effect 2. And that's because since Tanner can jump into any car, the devs created like 150 unique passengers, each with their own little storylines and dialogue trees. One minute you jump into a driving instructor's car and have to pretend you know how to teach a student how to parallel park. The next you shift into an ambulance to help paramedics, or you take over a teenager in an illegal street race just to help him pay for his college tuition. And then he also has to instantly adapt to whatever conversation the passenger he took over was having, leading to some of the funniest, most rapid-fire banter I have ever experienced in a game. And this actually makes the whole city feel unbelievably alive. And as the story progresses, the reality of Tanner's hospital room starts bleeding into this dream. Like there's even a mission called Frozen, where Tanner suffers cardiac arrest in the real world, causing the entire dream version of San Francisco to freeze completely still in a monochromatic stasis. You have to then chase an ethereal ambulance through frozen traffic while hearing the real-world paramedics trying to hit you with a defibrillator. It's a brilliant narrative design that you simply don't see anymore.
I always forget what a whiner you are.
Visually, it's a fascinating time capsule of the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, but it has a massive amount of personality that helps it age beautifully. The art direction is heavily inspired by 70s car chase movies, and the entire city has this saturated, sun-drenched hue that makes the asphalt pop and the cars look incredible. Speaking of cars, the vehicle models are exceptionally detailed for its time, and the damage mechanics are pretty cool too. Like when you smash a car into a concrete pillar, it crumples and deforms in a way that makes you genuinely wince. The character models during the cutscenes, particularly Tanner and Jericho, have a surprising level of naturalism for a 2011 game. Now, not gonna lie, if you look closely at the pedestrians and some of the environmental textures, the game definitely shows its age. They've this weird, rigid quality to them, and because the game wants to keep an upbeat tone, they'll always dive out of the way of your car with superhuman reflexes, as if guided by divine providence. But the reason the graphics are slightly dialed back in certain areas is because the devs prioritize performance above all else. It targets a rock-solid 60 frames per second, which was a massive technical achievement on the older consoles considering the density of the traffic simulation and the sheer speed at which you can drive across the map.
What's on the agenda today, then?
The agenda?
With Jericho.
You ask too many questions.
So, where are you from, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm mine.
Understood.
Alright, let's get to the best part, the gameplay mechanics. The shift mechanic is without a single doubt the greatest innovation the driving genre has seen in the last 2 decades. It completely redefines how you play an open-world racing game. When you press the shift button, the camera pulls back and you're suddenly looking at a view of the traffic below you. And then from this perspective, you can hover over any car on the road and instantly drop into the driver's seat. There's no loading, there's no waiting, you're just instantly driving a new vehicle. And this turns the entire city into a sandbox. Let's say you're chasing some bad guy and your car is just too slow, or you made a mistake and crashed into something. In any other game, that's it, mission failed. But here, you just hit the shift button, fly ahead of the bad guy, drop into like a bus or something and create a roadblock. Or you can drop into oncoming traffic, take control of a semi-truck and do a head-on collision. It never ever gets old. As you progress through the game, your shift ability actually levels up. You unlock the ability to zoom out even further, seeing the entire map at once. You also unlock Rapid Shift, which lets you instantly swap back and forth between 2 specific cars. This means you can literally chase a suspect with a police car, instantly swap to any oncoming car to ram the suspect, and then instantly swap back to your police car to continue the pursuit without skipping a beat. By the end of the game, Tanner and Jericho are literally using the shift mechanic as telekinesis, throwing empty cars at each other in these surreal psychological boss
Hands on
fights.
that truck in a hurry. Time to get back on Jericho's trail.
And the actual driving physics complement this mechanic perfectly. The game features like 140 fully licensed destructible vehicles from manufacturers like Dodge, Chevrolet, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, Audi, and Bentley. You unlock these cars by earning willpower, which is basically XP you get for drifting, jumping, and driving recklessly. Like you can buy a 70s Fiat Abarth for 5,000 willpower, or save up like 200,000 for a Bentley Continental. The handling is deliberately loose and floaty, with a ton of suspension travel and body roll. It's not a hardcore simulation like Gran Turismo, it's an arcade racer through and through. And yes, the controls are a bit too sensitive, like it's easy to skid out of control at high speeds, but when you master it, it just works. And also there's this great Easter egg in the game. If you save up and buy the DeLorean and hit exactly 88 miles per hour, you unlock a secret challenge called Blast from the Past. It's a pitch-perfect, agonizingly difficult recreation of the infamous parking garage tutorial from the very first PS1 driver game. It's a brilliant nod to the franchise's hardcore roots, and it shows just how much passion Ubisoft Reflections poured into this project, which again, you don't see anymore.
You crazy?
So how long does this coma joyride last, and is it a tough game to beat? Well, the game length is actually one of its strongest assets, especially in today's era of bloated 100-hour open-world chore simulators. If you just rush the main story, you're looking at about 8 to 9 hours of gameplay. If you want to take your time, do the main side missions, and purchase some upgrades, it clocks in at a very respectable 14 to 15 hours. And the pacing is incredibly tight. Because the shift mechanic keeps you constantly engaged and prevents any mission from overstaying its welcome, the game practically flies by. You're never forced to drive halfway across the map just to start a mission, you just shift to the mission marker. The difficulty, however, is a bit of a weird mixed bag. For the first 2/3 of the game, it's arguably a bit too easy. Once you get the hang of drifting and realize that you can just shift into a new car if you crash, you're practically invincible. But then out of nowhere, the game hits you with a jarring difficulty spike right near the end. The final chapters throw incredibly aggressive police chases and takedown events at you that demand perfection with the rapid shift mechanic. It can be a little frustrating, but it definitely wakes you up and forces you to use every single tool in Tanner's psychic arsenal. So is Driver San Francisco still worth hunting down and playing today? Absolutely, unequivocally yes. It represents an era where AAA studios were still willing to take unhinged risks with their million-dollar budgets. It strips away all that boring on-foot BS that ruined the earlier Driver games. Yes, the graphics are a bit dated, the endgame difficulty is a jarring spike, and the fact that you basically have to become a digital archaeologist to find a legal copy is incredibly frustrating. It's one of the best games that Ubisoft won't let you play, and I truly hope that the Stop Killing Games movement succeeds so that future generations can experience this absolute legend of a game. If you somehow have a copy sitting in your backlog, do yourself a massive favor and install it today. You won't regret it.